Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our session and welcome to another Talent LMS webinar. Today, we have a session specifically made for those who want to create great courses and share them with the learners. In fact, this is a session that can work well both for admins and for instructors. And our goal today is to make sure that we will help you create courses that your learners would love to take. And what is the outcome of that? You have a lot of good statistics about your learner engagement, about course adoption, and of course, about the retention of your training from your learners. So join us in this session to see how you can create with Talent LMS courses very easily, very efficiently, and of course, courses that your learners would love to take again and again and again. Let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. So my name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I will be hosting this session alongside my good colleague, Irini.
Hello, everybody. My name is Irini. I'm a customer education specialist, and I'm here with Theo to help you create engaging and interactive courses.
And you will hear from Irini a lot more in a little while. But now let's see first what we have prepared. What are the hot topics of this specific session? We will see the things that you should do before creating a course. It takes a little bit of preparation before you start creating content, so that way you have all of the right resources when you want to distribute and share the course with the users. And then we will see how you can create courses for hybrid training, especially nowadays that we work both in remote and on-site positions, or sometimes we do a little bit of both. We are here to show you how you can create blended learning that users will happily take. And finally, it's all about feedback. We want to be sure that your learners have all of the feedback that they need available based on the training in order to be able to get better and continue learning from your side. So we will show you how you can provide training feedback to your learners in very efficient ways that will help you and them proceed. And of course, don't forget, all of our webinars come with a live Q&A session. In fact, you have a Q&A button that is on your meeting controls. You can have a look at it now. And feel free to use it if you want to provide us with your questions so we can answer live. We have a strong team behind us, and that is a team led by Mary. And we will be able to answer to your questions during the session as well. But at the end, we are going to have a live Q&A where me and Irini, we will be answering your questions. So bring them on. Finally, this webinar is recorded. You will receive the recording once the session is over. So in the next day, keep an eye on your inbox and feel free to share the recording with anybody who wants to create great courses using Talent LMS. But before we get into the actual course creating process, I have a question for you. And that question is going to come up right now on your screen using a poll. So let me hear from you. What about creating courses? Have you done this before? Have you already created courses and maybe that was part of the process of evaluating Talent LMS as a solution for you? Or maybe you started creating courses, but then it's not something that you will do because your team will work on that. Or maybe not yet because it's not, the time in your Talent LMS journey for you to create courses right now. I can see on the poll that the results are very close with each other. So we have slightly more people who have already created courses, but lots of you have not yet worked on that. Well, I'm very happy to tell you that this webinar is for both of you. And that's because the people who already have created courses will reinforce what they know and hopefully take a few tips and tricks along the way. But also people who have not created courses, they will be ready to get started right away. Of course, courses can be created from both admins and instructors. And what you're going to see right now is my screen as an administrator in Talent LMS. That is very important to recognize that both admins and instructors can work together in courses. Although the administrator is the one who manages the portal, takes the decisions, and generally, this is the person who will be preparing the portal beforehand. Still, they can create courses, and the instructor is the person who puts the content in the courses and, of course, can also create courses themselves. So today, it's all about the communication between the admin and instructor with the target goal of creating amazing courses. What happens if you are both an admin and instructor? How you can navigate through the different user types? If you look on my screen and if you hover on your name, you see now I'm an administrator, but if I click on instructor, I will be able to switch, and now you can see that I have been an instructor. So if you assume both roles, of course, you can flick in between. If you're also a learner, because we will never stop learning at the end of the day, you can switch to your learner role as well. Let's go back, and that's going to be the administrator's start for me. We need to prepare the portal, and the admin is the one who will be able to work with two of the most important features when it comes to course creation. That is certificates and that is categories. Let's talk about certificates first. So as an admin, we go to account and settings, and from there, you opt to go to certificates. Certificates can be used as individual templates for courses, and when a learner completes a course, they will get a certificate. That is very important, especially for types of training like compliance or milestones in your training process, courses that will signify the mastering of a subject or anything that you want to basically certify and make sure that the learner takes that away as well. Definitely, you can add certificates to all of your course if you want, but definitely for those that really need to have a takeaway, it's a good idea to add certificates at least in those. How do we work with certificates? We work based on certificate templates. We have here a couple of already pre-made certificates, so you will find some of them on your account as well. But we also have a couple of custom certificates too. Let's create one together. The very first thing that we have to do is either select one of the existing images, backgrounds that you can use, or drag and drop and upload your own background as well. You see, I will select mine here, and that has consistent branding with what your organization can represent, your logo, signatures if they need to be there. So you have lots of different options to use custom certificates for, especially consistent with your branding. So what I'm going to do is save as new, just select my image, save as new, and let's give it a name, for example, certificate, and I'm going to call it 2023. Save. And now you see that this certificate has been added onto the templates that we have right there. And if we preview, let's see what we get. If I preview, I have the option to see exactly how the details of the learner will fall on the template that you create. So at this point, you see my certificates, and then of course you see all of the details that by default come on the certificate. Maybe you want to change it though. Maybe you don't want to have certification there, but you want to call it award because it is definitely an achievement when you complete training. So if we get to templates right there, you see that you can modify what the certificate displays. This is HTML codes, but the only thing that we have to focus on here is the text. So whatever is in black, this is the text that we can replace with anything we want. I have highlighted certification there, so I'm going to remove it and type the word award. And of course, you can use different placeholders, smart tags as we call them, so that way you can indicate more information. But the idea is that you can always replay what the certification says. Let's preview and see the difference here now. So it's very easy. You just replace words and you have customized even the template of the certificate. Now, let's go and update. And that's it. Now your certificate is custom and visible there, right to be used. Let's talk now about categories. And categories are a very good way for learners to identify the type of courses that they can take from there. Categories are visible on the course catalog on the sidebar, so that way the learner can pick and choose what categories courses they want to see, and then of course choose from those categories to enroll. We can add categories just by adding a category right on the spot. So if I call this category, for example, let's call it onboarding, I can just add the category right there. And what will happen is that you will see a list of categories. And of course, if you expand this further down, based on the alphabetical order that everything is placed, you will be able to find the category that you created. But also you can work with subcategories. So what you see here is compliance. And compliance has three subcategories. So basic compliance, certification, so on and so forth. If I hover to edit a subcategory or create a new one, same thing, you give the name of that subcategory and then you just choose which will be the parent category, where this subcategory will be nested under. And then just update. And the only thing that you have to do from that point on is preview, right? So let's go on the course catalog, top right, and you will see exactly what I've been talking about. So you have here the categories. And if you want to choose, for example, compliance that we have been working together, you can expand and see the subcategories. But of course, you can select just the main category and then see all of its content, including the rest. You can browse the different courses. And of course, anything that sparks your interest, you can always take. Let's go back, and normally I would continue telling you how you can create a course, right? You can do it as an admin. You can just click add a course right there. But I'm going to pass this mic at this point to Irini, who's going to show us from the instructor's perspective how we can create a course.
Thank you, Theo. So let me share my screen so we can build a course together step by step. I hope that you all see my screen now. I have already switched back as an instructor since Theo is the admin here, and we're going to click Add Course. Now, before we start adding content in our courses, we need to give our course a name. And maybe we can also add it in a category. Now, if you are both instructor and admin, and the category that you're looking for is not hasn't been created yet, what you can do is start typing, for example, custom, and you see that the button add category is being highlighted here. So this is how you can create a parent category, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to select an existed one. And further down, we see the description box. Now, in that description box, you can write information about the course, what are the benefits, who the instructor is, whatever you feel that the users need to have in advance. And of course, you can also upload an image from here. Now, by default, every time you create a course, it is active, which means that if the course catalog is available for the learners, the course will also be available for them, even if you haven't added any content yet. If you want to prevent that, just deactivate it, or you can keep it active and check the hide from course catalog box. And once you're ready, you can uncheck depending on what you have selected. Course code. Now the system will sort out the courses alphabetically depending on the name, but if you want the courses to be displayed in a different order, just create course codes. It can be letters, numbers, or a combination, and the system will sort out the courses alphabetically depending on the course code. And further down, we have the time options. Now, if you have time-sensitive courses that needs to be completed on a specific date, just go for the duration, add your expiration date here. Or if you're not quite sure about the expiration date, but you want to provide a specific time frame within the course needs to be completed, for example, 10 days, just go for the time limit, add your days here, and the time frame will be available for all users. Now, in both cases, once the expiration date passes or the time limit is over, the course is not accessible anymore from the user. And then further down, certificate. This is where we will add the certificate. I'm going to select the one that Theo had created. I can preview it, of course, and here I can also select the certificate duration. So if you have courses that users need to retake, just set up the certificate duration. We have a variety here that you can select. Let's go for 6 months. And also, once you do that, the system will give you the option to automate the reassignment of that course to the learner. So there's no need for you to follow up on certificate dates. Just check this box, select when that reassignment would be, and then the system will do the work for you. But I have a quick question for you, Theo. What if I'm just an instructor? Is it possible for me to create a certificate if the one I'm looking for is not here?
That's a great question. And I'm pretty sure that many of you might already share the same question that Irini just did. So if you are an instructor and your user type is only set to instructor, well, you have to talk to the admins. And this is a good way to sit together, decide what you want on a certificate, and just communicate this to your team. So that way the admin will be the one creating physically the certificate. Just because the admin is the one doing the creation and pushing the buttons, of course, doesn't mean that you don't have a say on the certificate. So please talk to your team, sit together, design the certificate with all of the elements that you wish for the users to take away from your course, and the admin will do the work.
Well, thank you, Theo. So normally, the next thing that we would do is to click Save and select Users so we can add more instructors or learners. But we're going to skip this step for now because right now we're interested about the content. So we're going to select Save and Add Content. And on the next page, we see the area where we will be adding our units. Now, the units can be added from here. If you click the Add button, you can find different type of units that you can add, or simply by drag and drop files directly from my computer. Right now, I have drag and drop the presentation. The name of the unit followed the name of the file that I dropped here. But if I click Edit, definitely I can change that name too. So we're going to change the name of the unit here a little bit. Of course, we have 3 different options of how this unit would be completed: checkbox, a question, or after a period of time. Let's go with the first option. It needs a couple of seconds to finalize, and once it's done, we have a preview of that right here. And if we're satisfied with that, then we can go further down, save and view, and on the next page, we have a preview of that unit. So we are experiencing right now what our learners would experience. So a learner would study this presentation, and once they're done, they would hit complete, and they would be moved on to the next unit. But right now, let's see what else we can do. So let's go back into our unit area. Let's drag and drop a video. So I'm going to follow the same process here. And again, the name of the video followed the name of the file, but let's click Edit so we can change that a little bit. Now, videos are really important, especially for our Gen Z audience. According to surveys, Gen Z watches 68 videos per day. So Gen Z's training has to be visual too. Again, how to complete it, we have 3 different options. And when it comes to uploaded videos, we have some more options here. So if we click this button, we can use a poster image, which can be the thumbnail of the video. We can check on the show captions and upload a caption file to help our users understand more of the information, change the playback speed option. But I have something even greater for you to share. If we click after a period of time on how to complete it, normally we would add here the time limit, the seconds that the user needs to spend with our video. But by clicking that, we have more options here. We have the synchronized timer with video. So the timer of the video here on the bottom will be synchronized with the time limit here. And we also have the auto pause video when changing tab, which will prevent the users to have a completed video without watching it. Because even if they change tabs, the video will pause. And once they go back, they will continue from the point they're left. But let's save and view and see something extra here too. Now, this is the preview. This is the timer here on the bottom, synchronized with the timer of the video. I'm going to mute that and I'm going to play the video. And as you can see, it's not possible for me to move it forward. So this is something extra that the auto pause button provides us. So the user will need to watch the whole thing and they will move on into the next unit once the timer is off. So let's go back and see what else we can do. Have you found an interesting blog or an article that you would like to include into your units? You can definitely do that with the iframe units. So let's click Add and click iframe. Let's give our unit a name. Let's call that article. And I'm going to share here the URL of that interesting article that I found. That is from our blog in Talent LMS. Click Embed. Of course, you will have a preview of that right here. Let's click with the checkbox. And if we go further down, save and view, here it is. Here it is the preview of my iframe unit. So you can definitely include URLs of articles or blogs into your courses too. But let's go back. Enough with the study material. What if you want to evaluate your users? Because each course promises to teach employees something new, and it's vital that it does so, that both parties reap the benefits. how can you tell whether the learners have mastered the knowledge? Our popular method of evaluation is creating a test. So we're going to click Add and then Test. And of course, it's a unit. So we're going to give our test a name. Let's call that quiz. And here on the side, we have all the different type of questions that we can add in our test. Let's go with the multiple choice. We will add our question right here. We are going to add our answers also here. Of course, it can be more than two by clicking the Add Answer button here, but definitely we need to check which is the correct one. So let's click this one, click Save, and now our question is being added in our test. Of course, I can keep up adding questions like this, or if I have questions from other courses that I can use here too, I can click this button and it will show me a list of all the available questions. And of course, here on the side, I have more options like changing the order of the questions, or if I click the test options, I can set up a duration in my test, change maybe the passing score, and some more options about repetitions and behavior, or adding a description in my test. Once I'm done, save and new, and on the next page, I have a preview of this test. One question and 1 minute to complete it. So let's do that. Let's start the test. Here on the bottom, I have the timer, which is counting backwards, the number of questions, and I'm going to add my answer like this. Click Submit, and I'm getting the results right away. That's why the tests are so popular. The learners will get the results right away with their passing score, and then they can move on into the next unit. But what if we also have an alternative way of evaluation? What if you add an assignment? Let's add one. So we're going to click Add and then Assignment. The thing with the assignment is that the instructors will add a topic on their assignment right here. And then the users will submit their answers, and then the instructors will go back and grade those submissions. Of course, it's a unit. We need to give our unit a name. Let's call that exam. And one more important thing, how to complete it. We have two options. Either when instructor accepts the answer, which means that once the learner submits the answer, they will be in a pending status waiting for the grade from the instructor side before they move on, or when uploading an answer, which means that the system will consider the submission as passed, so for the learner to move on. But again, the instructors will need to grade those submissions. Let's go with the first option. Click Save and View. And on the next page, we have a preview of that unit. So the learner will have 5 different options to submit their answers. Let's go by this one. Let's upload a file. So I'm going to upload this one. It takes a couple of seconds again to finalize, and here it is. My answer has been submitted and it's in a pending status. But how do the instructors grade those submissions? Well, if we go back in our units area, you see that we have a notification here, and if we hover in the submissions, we have one submission. We can check the answer from here, and then we can go here and change the status, give that learner a grade, maybe some comments, and that's it. This is how you can grade the submissions. Now back to you, Theo.
Thanks, Rini. And this is how you can really create a course that is not only just efficient because you provide all of the content, but also it's going to be very engaging for the learners because they will not have to see 10 presentations in a row. You can switch it up by videos, embedding contents, and of course, you have the option to evaluate them in 2 different ways. But now I have a question for you. And again, if you have a look on your screen, you will be able to see a next poll coming up. So let's talk about meeting providers. Which one is your provider of choice? Especially the last couple of years, we have been, well, I'm going to say very, very good users of the meeting providers that, our organizations rely on. And we have lots of options to use them in Talent LMS as well. So is it Zoom? Is it Teams? Is it GoToMeeting, training, webinar, Big Blue Button, or other? I can see that there is a bit of preference towards Teams right now and Zoom, but also there is a lot of people who already say other. So if you are using something different from the providers that are not visible on the screen right now, please let us know by email. That's going to be trainingteam@talentlms.com. And you will see the email coming up in the chat in a moment. So trainingteam@talentlms.com. And we would love to hear which other provider you use. This feedback is very important for us because we can, again, provide it to our teams and consider more options for integration. So I can see at this point that Teams is definitely winning. So why is it important to use your own meeting provider within Talent LMS? First of all, because you can create blended courses, which can include and support live sessions, and you can do all of that right from the Talent LMS platform. You don't have to set up a meeting differently and then notify your users in any other way. No, everything will be within the course and everything will be using the meeting provider that you have been used to every day. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So if I share my screen right now, and once more, you get to see my very familiar admin dashboard by now. If you go to the account settings as an admin, the admin is the one starting this process. If you go all the way down and you look specifically for conferences, you have the option here to choose to integrate with your preferred meeting provider. So we can integrate with Zoom, with Teams, GoToMeeting, Webinar Training, and Big Blue Button. And if you don't want at this point to integrate, you can still use the native integration that we offer to facilitate a session with up to 40 people, one instructor, 39 learners. But it's a good idea to choose your meeting provider, that being Teams, or for us, that being Zoom. Save your settings here, and then the instructors will have to connect their own profile within that provider. What is the benefit of that? The instructors will create meetings for live training directly in Talent LMS, directly from the courses, without having to learn any new interface, without having to get any more training about softwares. Or your learners on the other side, they will be able to take meetings in the very familiar environment that they already have seen meetings take place every day. So they will not have to adapt into a training environment that is different from what they know. So everybody wins. The instructor can use the tools that they already know, annotation, recording screen, anything that you usually do. And the learners will be very comfortable when they take those meetings. A very quick note here. The admin saved those settings under conferences, but now you have to choose your instructor user type if you have both, or if you are an instructor, just log in. And then on the right side, if you go to conferences, for the very first time, just the very first time, click on the little arrow right there and click to connect with the meeting provider that you have chosen. That is the very first step that you have to take for the integration to get started with, but then you don't have to do it again. You can just go into the courses and create a live session. So Irini, can you create quickly a live session for us?
Yes, I can definitely do. So let me share my screen one more time. I'm still in the course that we have been building. So Gen Z is not a passive learner generation, therefore their learning experience cannot be passive either. That's why you can create learning sessions within the course. So let's click Add and go further down, Instructor-led training. It's still a unit, so we need to give our unit a name. So let's call that live session. And here we have the calendar where we will select the date. Let's go for the 20th of January. Now, next thing, we need to give our session a name. Let's call that Meet Your Instructor. Change the date if we want to, or the time, and select who the instructor is. Now, note here that the more instructors you have added in a course, the more options you will have here. But right now it's just me. Now, if this session is taking place in a physical room, just leave it as it is, classroom, and add the location here. But if it's a remote session, then you will select the webinar, check here, create a new webinar, set up the duration, maybe add some description about what this webinar is about. So let's keep it simple to know us better. click Add Session, and now our session has been added in our calendar. But the last step we need to do is click Save and View so we can save that session in our course. Now, this is the preview of the unit. This is the registration page for the learners. Of course, this button will be register here for our learners. All the information available, they will click register to share the registration, and 15 minutes before the session starts, the join button will be highlighted here so they can join and attend our session. I know that you might have questions about the instructor-led events. So you're going to find a link in the chat right now with the webinar that our training team had done in the past called Blended Courses, engaging users with a mix of self-paced and instructor-led training, where you can find all options and all the details of how to create ILTs. Back to you, Theo.
Thanks, Irini. This is really engaging, especially when you have lots of different types of content and live sessions as well. And most importantly, it's convenience because it is all in the same platform. And talking about training, one of the biggest trends for learning and development for 2023 is the creation of micro learning contents. And I know that's in the Q&A button. Some of you might have already mentioned this keyword. So this section is especially for you. In fact, with Talent LMS, you can create bite-sized courses that have a duration from 3 to 10 minutes maximum, and they really work well with busy teams. For example, sales, customer success, customer support, anybody who's pretty much in touch with customers or the team during meetings every single day. Those people don't really have the luxury of time to be able to take training for 2 hours straight. So what do? We create very short courses and we split our content in lots of them. And then, of course, we enforce them as different types of training modules that people can take. In fact, we can create sets of courses that people will take in a specific order. So that way, when they have time, when they have a little break, when they feel that they can have a little bit of training, they can log in and take those courses. So Irini, can you show us a little bit how we can make sure that those courses are taken exactly in the order that we want them to?
Definitely. So let me share my screen one more time. As we mentioned before, the course code is one option because the course code will help you display the courses in a specific order, since the system will prioritize those courses and sort them out alphabetically depending on the course code. I have 3 courses like the ones Theo just mentioned, where you can see the course code here in brackets, S01, S02, and S03. Now, please note that the learners should have the name here as the sorting order. And one way to do that is this one with the course code. But if you want to go that extra mile, you can also create learning paths so you can guide the users of how they should complete the courses and not being lost in a way. So what we need to do is set up the prerequisites, and we're going to set up S02 as a prerequisite for S03 and S01 the prerequisite for S02. So let's start doing that. Let's click Edit on our 3rd course. And then here on the side, we're going to select Rules and Path, and then Learning Path. We're going to click here, type in the name of the course and search in the list. So I'm going to select the S02, click Save, and that's it. Now S02 is the prerequisite of S03. And if I go back with my home button and click Edit on my S02 course, again, Rules and Path, Learning Path, typing the name of the course I'm looking for, S01, click Save, and that's it. Now my users will complete the courses according to the order that I have set by creating the learning paths. And of course, they will also have that information in advance because the prerequisites will also show in the course info page.
That's a great tip. So thank you for sharing. Now, 2 final bits of settings. I know that we talked about the admins being the ones preparing the ground for the instructor to deliver the training, but also I want to show you 2 settings that will definitely need the involvement of the instructor while the admin is actually creating and working on the portal. I'm talking about notifications and gamification. Talking about notifications, the admin is the one who can set them up, but the instructor can definitely provide input about when do they need to notify users for, what would be the occasions, when a course is about to expire, when a course is completed. So let's go together on Events Engine and add a notification. And what we want to do is select the events that will trigger the notification. So let's go with this example. Irini showed us before how we can put time limits into courses or expiration dates. So we want to create a notification that will notify people about the upcoming course being expired. So we have here number of hours before course expiration being the event that will trigger the notification. The recipient will be the related user, the person who has not completed the course and needs to be notified before the expiration. Let's define how many hours before. I'm going to say 72 hours, which is roughly 3 days. And this is where we create the body, the content of the email. So now I'm going to provide you with an example. The first line is always the subject line, and then you can work on the content. If you want to include that person's name, place the cursor at the point that it should appear. And you see here we have the smart tags, the placeholders. So if I click on the related user first name, that is what will populate that person's first name and make notification and more personal message. Don't forget, give a name to the notification. So let's call it course expiration. And again, it doesn't matter what the name is. This is just for you admins between each other to identify what course is what notification is for what purpose. You see, this is always going to be the subject line of the email the learners will receive. If we're ready, create the notification, and that's it. You see here, my notification is visible and it's working right now, right on the spot. And the second type of setting that I would like to share with you, that has to do with gamification. Back to the account settings, if we click gamification, again, the admin's job to work on, but definitely the instructor can help as well. Let's talk about the fact that gamification is a setting that is applied for the entire account. It's a feature that when it's on, everybody benefits from it. When it's off, nobody plays. But what gamification does, it promotes learner engagement. It boosts course adoption because it makes training more fun than what it would be without getting points, without getting badges, and without getting rewards about it. So here we can select the occasions that points can be given, and we can adjust the amount of points. The same thing can happen with badges. We can choose when they will be given. And of course, we have the option as well to display on the leaderboards if we want the points, levels, and badges of a person to be comparable with the rest and have a list where we can see where each person ranks between the rest. So this is something that will definitely create a healthy competition because everybody wins if they get more training, which at the end of the day, that is what they are here for. Think about it, and we strongly encourage you to use gamification because especially Gen Z is something that they love it and they want to just bring more fun into the day-to-day tasks such as training. Now, talking about courses, let me just ask you a question which would really help us identify whether you have just taken the initiative of creating your own contents or whether you want to combine that content with ready-made content. So for example, are you looking to get ready-made courses that you can start sharing with and potentially have those alongside your own courses, or you will just develop your own content? It's something that many people want to know quite early in the process of getting set up with Talent LMS and creating their accounts. So that way they know how much time they can invest beforehand when it comes to creating the content or sourcing the content that they need. So what I can see here, I can see that many of you will develop your own contents, but also a lot of you are actively looking for ready-made courses, which is great. And that is something that we always are encouraging you to because we have some suggestions. So let me share my options here. Let me share my slide. And I just want to show you Talent Library. Talent Library is a collection of ready-made courses made from Talent LMS. So we have a set of experts who work on the courses. And the most important part is that those courses are in English, and now we start developing those in Spanish as well. And they are part of a growing collection. We have a lot of different collections for power skills, soft skills, team playing skills, and all of the skills that somebody in a modern workplace needs. But also we keep on adding other courses. And they are interactive. They are in SCORM formats. They are ready to use right away. So you get them from the course store and then you can share them with the users on the spot. They include quizzes. So that way you don't have to create a separate quiz. You can really use the quiz made by our experts in order to be able to evaluate the users. And they are exclusively available in Talent LMS. Of course, they are in SCORM formats. They are micro-learning courses, so they have a duration from 5 to 15 minutes maximum, and we encourage you to give it a try. You can, of course, add Talent Library to your subscription. This is something you can always do. And when you do, you get access to all of the courses, including the ones that we keep adding. Roughly every quarter, we are updating the courses. And you have the option as well to participate in a trial. 14-day trial, we can add you to an account so that you will be added as a learner. And there we have the option to show you all of the courses of Talent Library. You can browse the collections, you can see for yourself. And the most important part, you will see that exactly in the same way that your own learners will see. So try the trial. And if you want, send us an email at trainingteam@talentlms.com. We will add you in the account and you will be able to experience Talent Library exactly as your learners would do. Now, let's see though, how can we get courses from the library and any tips that you have to share, Irini?
Yes, I will do so. Let me share my screen one more time. I have already switched as an admin because you can add our courses from our talent library as an admin by clicking Course Store under the feature of courses. Now, if I click Course Store, you will see here on the side our own categories of our own collections. So if you're looking for something specific, feel free to check or maybe expand so you can see all the different collections we have. And if you click Get this course for standalone courses or Get all to get the courses of all the collection, this is how you can add them in your own course catalog. Something that I have to share with you when it comes to the Talent Library courses, some few tips. Let me just switch back as an instructor and find the Talent Library course. Okay, here it is. So let's click Edit and see a couple of tips. Now we're going to click Edit Course because what you need to know is that every time you're adding a Talent Library course in your course catalog, the box Hide from Course Catalog is checked. So if you want that course to be available for your users, just uncheck it. Now, certificate. I have already added a certificate here. So what you need to know is that the Talent Library courses come without a certificate. So feel free to add your own. As you can see, I have already added a certificate of my own, but you can definitely select one of the list that you probably have. Again, preview and set up a certificate duration if you want this course to be repeated by your users. And we will click Update Course. And the last thing that I would like to share with you is this. The courses come with their own units, but feel free to add your own units too. So you can use the Talent Library courses as the foundation in order to create a very engaging and interactive course by adding your own videos, your own live sessions, your own tests and assignments. And that is all from my end. So let's go back to Theo one more time.
Thank you, Rini. So we have lots of good tips here and we have lots of good questions. I can see that Q&A button really buzzing. And first of all, before jumping into your questions, I want to thank Mary for really being on fire today and doing a great job answering, well, a lot of questions. But let me just start with this one. A question from Yolanda. Is there a way for students to download the readable files? Yes, there is. So let me show you. If I share my screen once more, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot of times by now, let's go into a course and let me go into a course that I have created. So possibly that's going to be this one, and click on the course. And you see here that I have lots of different types of files that, potentially I could share. So in this case, we get to the files on the right side. And here you will see that all of the uploads, anything that has been uploaded to a course, that being video, PDF, JPEG images, anything, those can be shareable, but they're not there yet. What you have to do is choose what you would like to share. For example, that PDF, I can click, and maybe the video, why not? And I can click as well and make those shared files. Now, let's go back to the course and let's view the course as a learner. Now, the learners will be able to see the course, and then on the top right, you have files, and you can click and download the related files as you need. So yes, that's the way that you can upload and make downloadable the readable files that you have. Let's see another question that comes from Catherine. Is there a way to lock a course until a prerequisite course is completed? Well, I think this is what Irini also suggested, talking about the microlearning course. So Irini, can you just very quickly give us a quick overview again?
Yes, definitely we can do. So let me share my screen one more time. And we're going to use the three courses that we used before. So what you need to do is just set up the prerequisite from the learning path of each course. So let's go to S03, click Edit. And here on the side, Rules and Path. And this is where you will find the learning path option here. So this is where you can add the prerequisites of this course. Of course, it can be more than one. So if you want to add a second one, here it is. Or if you want to create an alternative path, click Add an Alternative Rule. And this is where you can add different set of prerequisites. And this is how you are giving the option to the learners to select the path they will follow so they can end up in this course and take the certificate. So basically, if the prerequisites are not completed, it's not possible for the user to end up to the final course and get the certificate. Of course, you will need to click Save, and that's it.
Perfect. And since you're there and you're already screen sharing, well, I was too fast for that, right? Okay, let's screen share again. And I have two questions that really work well with what you just said, Irini. So let me just give you two more. I think what Levente is asking, how do you support bite-sized learning, or how do you package microlearning courses? That's exactly what we demonstrated with the Learning Pass. But I have a question from Emiliano. Emiliano is asking, is there a way to create certification that occurs once a number of courses are completed? For example, onboarding complete certification after course 1, 2, 3 are completed. So what do we need to do there? Where do we place the certificate?
So let's say that our course 1, 2, 3 are the 1, 2, 3 that I have here. I have already created my learning path. So S01 is the prerequisite for this one, and S02 is the prerequisite for this one. So the certificate will be added in the last course, because the user will need to complete all the prerequisites before they get the certificate. So we're going to click on the last course of our learning path, click Edit, and add the certificate from here, certificate. So let's select the certificate that Theo had created. We're not going to add any duration right now. Click Update Course, and that's it. This is how you can work with learning paths, guide your users of how they need to complete the courses, and add the certificate in the final course where they will earn it since they have completed all the prerequisites.
Exactly. So thank you for that, Irini. Now, I have a question that comes here from Mariam. And Mariam is asking, is it possible for the instructor to upload the file in the assignment section? So Mariam, if I can jump into a quick assumption here, you want to provide an assignment that says, for example, to people, can you please take this file, fill it in with information like an Excel form, for example, and then upload it to see how you have filled that in, right? Well, if you want to do that, you have to combine what I said before about files. So either you have the file right there uploaded and made it shareable, and then into the assignments, you actually propose what you're going to ask them to do and then say, okay, to get the file, oops, definitely not on caps. So to get the file, click on files on top. That way they will be navigating to the files and download it there. Or the second way would be to upload that file externally away from Talent LMS, like in Google Drive or just any kind of shareable platform. And then you just put the link or make a word a hyperlink and they can download it from here. What I would do personally is utilize the files that I showed you before about sharing and downloading, so that way everything is on the right place. There is another question as well, and let's see that this comes from an anonymous attendee. So they say, hi Rini, if I choose webinar and not classroom, which system is used, Teams or Zoom? Rini, is it something that you can quickly clarify for us? If you choose webinar, not classroom, do we use Teams? Do we use Zoom? Can we choose? What's happening there?
Well, this is something that you have already mentioned. So let me share my screen one more time. And let me switch back as an admin and go to the account and settings, and then go further down here to the conferences. So all the remote sessions that you will host in Talent LMS will be in the conference tool that you have selected from here. Of course, as Thea presented, if you don't use the integrated video conference tool that Talent LMS already offers, and you decide to go with Zoom or Microsoft Teams, whatever tool you use, you will select it from here, set the maximum capacity, click save, and then each instructor will need to log in with his own account by clicking instructor, and go to the conferences so they can complete the integration. So from that moment on, whatever session you host will be in the selected conference tool that you have selected from the account and settings.
Exactly. And a question comes to Meg. And I think this kind of screams my name because I love reports. So Meg is asking, are instructors able to run reports regarding the classes that they build? Yes, and I'm going to show you how. If I share my screen, you guessed it, one more time, the instructors are able to see reports within every single course that they participate in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a very popular course that we have here. So I'm just start typing the name in the search bar and you already see the result. So I'm going to go inside that course, and on the right side, you see reports. If I click on reports right here, always as instructor, I can see a very good overview about where everybody is at the moment, how many assigned, how many completed learners, progress, the average score, the training time. I can export and I can download that in Excel, and I can click on the little drop down and go to schedule, where I can set my options. For example, every week on Friday, schedule and receive that automatically exporting every single week on Friday. That's very convenient, but also I can see users, I can see tests, assignments, all of the different type of details that an instructor would like to track and see how they perform. Let's see another question, which is from Shamakia. How much would it be to add the Talent LMS library? Well, let me show you where to see, because that has to do with your plan. So if you want to add Talent Library to your subscription, as an admin, you go to account settings and subscription. And what you will see here, of course, this is a test account, so we have a test plan here. But if you have a look at your plans, you will be able to put Talent Library yes. And then, of course, you can choose if your plan will be monthly or yearly, depends again on what you're looking for. So that way, you will be able to see now, including Talent Library, the updated cost of the plan. Great suggestion to think about that, because you will see how many collections you can get just by adding Talent Library to your subscription. There is another question from Connor. Are ready-made courses able to be used as templates for your own courses? Yes, absolutely. And that is one of the big advantages of Talent Library. You can really get those courses and keep adding more content to really bring them to what the final results would be for you. So let me show you how you can actually do that. So if we go as an instructor, provided you have already taken a course from Talent Library, if I go into here, and this is part of our Spanish series, so I'm going to open that up. If I just go to edit, you see I've already done it. And you see this SCORM file that is already part of the library. And I have created some live sessions because I wanted to use that feature. But also you can go to add, video, audio, presentation, iframe, anything, test, even more test. You just want to have two, one in the SCORM file, one that you build yourself. So you can really bring them as a foundation and then start adding your own content. One final question, and I think that's going to be something that comes from Jay. Jay is asking, how do we have access to the course again? Jay, are you looking for the Talent Library courses or the course on your account? If it is on your account, just go to add a course if you want to create one. As an instructor as well, if you want to have a look at the courses that are available, you can go to my courses and see the course that you can just jump in. And you can go as an instructor, of course, as an administrator, of course, go to the courses right there and see all of the courses of the entire account. If you want to look at Talent Library courses, the course store, and then you will see all of the collections again in Spanish, of course, in English as well. Let's have one more question here. From Alex, actually, it's not a question, it's feedback. They say, this sounds interesting. I will copy your transcript and try your suggestions. Thank you, Alex. And of course, if you have any questions, trainingteam@talentlms.com. And another thing as well, if you are within your account and you have a question, definitely you can go to the Help Center, search the knowledge base if you want to, and if you go as well to the supports, you have the option to drop them a message. And then again, you have the option, if you have the premium or the enterprise plan, to have live chat support, so that way you can get answers right on the spot. It's a good idea to think, if you work between upgrading plans or choosing the right plan for you, think of the premium and enterprise plan so you can have live chat as well. I know that there is a lot of questions as well. So there is some questions that Mary has actually provided, but I'm going to answer one more, and that's from Andreas. Andreas is asking, is it possible to share files in general, meaning not allocate them to specific courses, but in a hosted environment in the portal for any learner to download? Yes, there is. So let me just show you this very quickly. You can do it on a branch level, on a group level. So if we get to work with branches, branches are independent training environments with their own admins, learners, instructors, and courses. Let's go for the Spanish one here. So if I click on that, you see I'm using them for multilingual training. You can get to files and you can drag and drop anything you want here for people to download. Only people who belong in the Spanish branch will be able to download those files. And where they see them, you can hover on your name, go to my files, and there you can see all your files and click to download them. In the same mentality, you can do the same for groups. So if I go here, let's say that I'm going to go for the compliance 2023 group. I can go to the files again, just new policies have arrived and I need to share them with the users, drag and drop, and then again over my files, and you will be able to see that there. I know there has been a lot of questions, and again, our email is always accessible and open to you. So if you have any questions, please drop us a message, trainingteam@talentlms.com. And we would love to hear your thoughts about how you use your courses and what features you would like to see. And also, if you want to see our past webinars and maybe our upcoming webinars, we have lots and lots of webinars this year. That is our website, talentlms.com/webinars. This is the training academy, as we call it, because this is where we want to make you experts in using Talent LMS and delivering successful training. And a final question from us, we have a survey. If you can have a look at the chat right now, you will see a link. Please have a look at the survey. It takes less than a moment, and we will be able to get your feedback about the session and about what you would like to see as well. We are here to work together on Talent LMS, make the most out of these features, and of course, make sure to create content that you would like to watch. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this session. Thank you, Mary, silently behind the chat. Thank you, Irini.
Thank you all for joining.
And we really wish you happy and successful training. Take care, everybody. See you next time.